Hello Earthlings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be on planet Earth. This is going to be a bit of a mixed bag. Well, it's a follow-up to the ghost story, and there is going to be a much bigger ghost story update, well, more to do with the history of the house. Firstly, I want to say a massive thank you to Brummy Liz. She's done some research and she has blown my mind, and a lot of the stuff that we thought were rumours, me and my dad, she's found out were true, that they happened, and it's just really shocked me, because all my life I've wondered about what was going on in that house. So a massive thank you to her. What an incredible lady to do all that, and she emailed me. And also, I'd like to say a massive thank you to all of you. I think you're all incredible. When I started doing this, it was in defence of Wally, Taz and Murky, because as an observer I could see what was going on was not right. It was very slanted, very bad. And as I've sort of delved into the world of Yankee Wally, I've met all of you guys. And isn't she an incredible lady? Isn't she? I don't think it can be underestimated, the effect that the internet has when people have the chance to get together and communicate. People of all ages. The internet is not just for young people, as people like Ellie Hall and Christopher Boozy, and apparently Sarah Data seem to think that there's an age limit. That's a bit Logan's Run, isn't it? Look it up, guys. I dare say you're not old enough to know what Logan's Run is. No, the internet is there for children, for teenagers, for middle-aged people, for old people, for people who love animals, plants, people who don't like Meghan Markle, okay? Get that in your thick skulls. No matter how much you bully, that's not going to change. What needs to change is Meghan's behaviour, Meghan's nastiness, Meghan's bitchiness, which older people can see. It's clear as a bell. But apparently we're not allowed to compare notes. We're not allowed to talk about these things. I mean, as people follow Meghan through her life, perhaps she will change and she'll become phenomenally popular, because that's how it works with the royal family. People don't just marry in and they're instantly popular, okay? We've had this before. It has to be earned. The late Princess of Wales, Diana, was working in the royal family for 15 long years, if you're listening to this, Ellie Hall. And if she were alive today, she'd be 61 years old. She'd be an old biddy, she'd be an old Karen. Think about that. There are people out there who are isolated and lonely, and they deserve to be heard, and they deserve to be able to talk to each other. So that's my rant at you, Ellie Hall. You, Ellie Hall. You should be ashamed, really. And I'd love to do a live with you. You bring your real face, your real voice, toe to toe on a live. Let's discuss it. Why have you got such a beef in your bonnet about Yankee Wally? Where are you coming from? Right, that's that rant over. Going back to thanking all of you. Through Wally, I've met you guys. And the incredible comments that you make, stories that you tell. I've actually changed as a person, and I like to think for the better, since reading all of your comments, hearing all of your extraordinary life stories. It's incredible. And Brummy Liz, I can't tell you. Do you know what, Brummy Liz? I will never forget you to the day I die. I will remember you for the rest of my life because of the emails you sent me. I can't believe the information that you found. So now, moving on from that, I have got a bit of a ghost story, because don't forget, I lived in that house of horrors for 20 years, from the day I was born. In fact, so did one of my sisters. My eldest sister had lived at other addresses before, but the middle sister, she was born into that house. We weren't born in the house, we were, the Royal Sussex. But from a baby to when she moved out, and I think she moved out when she was 22 or 23, so she did a longer prison sentence than I did. I got out of there in 1990. So I was 20. Passed my driving test and everything that year. What's going on up here with this door? All this, unless it's getting into character. That's funny. Oh, it's totally latched. Must be the ghosts in this house. This house, by the way, is very, 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 very old. I've been assured by our Spanish neighbour. This was actually the local manor house at one point, and they broke it up into smaller houses, and then the guy we got it off, he put it back into, well, we've got half the manor house, and the neighbour got the other half. He died of COVID, poor old guy. It was right old. Anyway, getting back to the ghost story, it was 1987. Now this is... What the fuck? This was 1987, and it really pissed me off because the newspapers in my day made a lot of reference to our house having been burgled, and that really pissed me off because they implied I was involved, and I was not very much as this story. And I hope you're listening to this, Daily Mail from the olden days, you bloody rat bags. We used to go on weekends and holidays to the Norfolk Broads. My mum and her mate had a couple of bungalows there, and if anyone knows it, Potter Hyam, absolutely lovely. And I loved going to Norfolk just to get away from that house. Lewes, by the way, is a very, very, very old town. Lots has happened in Lewes. It's very historical, and I love it. It's pretty, it's beautiful. But living there in that house was... Anyway, so we went away. We, as usual, packed up on the Friday night, drove up to Norfolk, went to bed, and I had a nightmare, a really vivid nightmare, and I have a lot of these. I still have them occasionally these days where I'm right back in 86 High Street, and they are like visionary dreams. When I have one and I'm in 86 High Street, I think, oh my God, here we go. And then whatever I dream about comes true. I don't know what they call them, prophetic dreams or something like that. Anyway, we're asleep in Norfolk Friday night, and I had a dream I was right back in the house and all the lights were out. And I was on the ground floor where the reception desk was. And the house was very, very cold, which it never was in reality. I mean, it wasn't that well heated, but it was always quite a warm building. Anyway, I went up the stairs to the first floor where my father's office was, and it was exceptionally cold, and the door was closed. So I opened the door, and there was a wind, a gush of wind, and all my dad's office papers were blowing all over the place. And he had huge bay windows, floor-to-ceiling bay windows, and the glass was smashed on all of them, and the night wind was howling in. And my father had a Chesterfield armchair opposite his desk, sort of near the door. And as I walked into the office with all these legal papers swirling everywhere, I noticed a woman sitting in the Chesterfield. And I recognised her. She was the mother of one of my friends. And she had her dog by her, and she was just staring at the broken windows and all the papers. And then she noticed me and she said, "I'm so sorry, Fiona. I'm so sorry." And so I went out of the room. I couldn't get any sense out of her. And as I went out, her son was running up the stairs. I won't say his name. I don't know if he's still alive or not. No, he's not, actually. They all died. Her son was running up the stairs. He'd have been about 17 at the time, and he grabbed hold of me like he was being chased by a ghost. He was as white as a sheet. And he said, help me, Fiona, please, please help me. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't know there was something in the house, right? And I was like, let's call him Peter, which was not his name. And I said, Peter, what's the matter? He said, there's something chasing me. And he was coming from the downstairs. And I said, I don't know what I can do to help. I can't see anything chasing you. And then I woke up and I knew straight away. I went to my mum and dad. I said, we've been burgled. And they laughed at me. And I said, I'm not fucking kidding. I've had a dream. These dreams in the house, they come true. They're in the house right now. I know exactly how they got in. They've climbed up onto the roof and they've come in your office window. They've smashed the window with the balcony. My dad said, bollocks, absolute bollocks. I said, I want to go back now. We have to go back now, or phone someone. We didn't have a phone in the bungalow. I said, we've got to go a payphone, ring somebody and get them to go to the bloody house right now. The house has told me. He wouldn't listen. My dad, no. It's not a ghost. It's not. No, it's nonsense. I don't want to hear another word about this poltergeist, Fiona. So we had to stay there, and I was on tenterhooks the whole weekend. We drove down Sunday night. As soon as we went in the house, my father was the first in. He'd gone up to the flat. My sister was the second. She got as far as the first floor. I was on the ground floor. The house was freezing, and I knew straight away. And my father called down the stairwell, and he said, don't anybody touch anything. We've got to call the police. We've been burgled. Well, I went up to the first floor, and I got my T-shirt and to save from fingerprints, and I opened my father's office door, and there were legal papers blowing everywhere, and the window was smashed. And I knew exactly who it was who burgled it, because I'd seen him in the dream, and it wasn't just him. There were about 6 of them, and they are all dead now. I know that because a police officer I knew years later, he told me, and they all died under very unusual circumstances. Well, there was a bit of a question over that, actually. But my father wouldn't accept it. He said, how could you have known? How could you have known the point of entry? How could you have known who did it? You must have been involved. And I suppose he said it to other people, and that's why the bloody Daily Mail went with that. And it really fucking rankles me to this day. So, Brummy Liz, you have got no idea the emails that you sent, and everyone else who sent emails, messages received and understood, and I think you guys out there know who you are, as Voltaire said. We all know what Voltaire said. And it's just, you, all of you have blown my mind. Ruth Ann with her stories, Pamela Bradshaw, regular commenters, infrequent commenters, people who say, oh, I'm commenting for the first time in 2 years because I don't want to get my head bitten off. I love it when you comment and you feel safe enough to comment. And I will tell the story that I have of the house, and I will include the information that Brummy Liz sent me, and I'll do that. I'll do that tonight, a bit more atmospheric. But yeah, and I haven't actually had a dream about 86 High Street in a long time. We have actually got a ghost on our boat, an apparition, and we know her name, and I haven't seen her in a little while actually, but we've all seen it, including Graham and both the kids. We've all seen her. It's quite a big boat, our boat, and it's the ghost of a lady who died on our boat. And she doesn't frighten us one bit. Not one bit. She's lovely. And I think the reason we haven't seen her in a while is because she's quite happy. But at 86 High Street, that was a poltergeist. I'm certain. A proper poltergeist. So I will see you, firstly, in the comments, and secondly, for the ghost story this evening. Thank you for listening.